slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play.
God Valley. The name was a lie. It was not a valley of gods, it was a valley of devils, a place of unspeakable horrors. Once perhaps it was beautiful. Green trees, blue skies, clear water. But that was before. Before came the world nobles, the celestial dragons. They brought with them a storm of pain, a storm of suffering. Now the island was stained with tears, stained with blood, a nightmare made real. The air itself felt heavy, thick with dread. Smoke choked the sky. It blotted out the sun. Day looked like twilight, a terrible, endless twilight. Screams, so many screams. They echoed through the broken trees. They bounced off the scarred mountains. These were not sounds of joy or of life. They were sounds of pure terror, sounds of despair. This was the hunting ground, their hunting ground. And the prey? Humans, innocent people, the native hunting competition. What a cruel name, a sickening game. For 3 long years this event would happen. The celestial dragons, bored with their perfect lives. They sought entertainment, twisted entertainment. They hunted the native people. They hunted the slaves they brought. Like animals. No, worse than animals. There was no mercy, no escape. Only the thrill of the chase for the hunters. Only agony for the hunted. This was the world Kuma was thrown into. Young Kuma saw it all. His eyes wide with a child's fear. He saw the powerful ships arrive. Ships that looked like gods themselves. But they carried monsters. He saw the land change, burn, break. He heard the laughter of the tormentors. It was a cold laughter, empty of warmth, full of arrogance. This island was not a home. It was a cage, a slaughterhouse. And the games had just begun. The nightmare was just starting. Kuma was just a boy, a child of the buccaneer race, a race known for its strength. But even strength meant nothing here. Not against these foes. His early life was stolen, snatched away by cruel hands. He was born into chains. Slavery was his first reality. His parents too were slaves. They suffered. He watched them suffer. This was his world. A world of whips and chains. A world of endless labor and endless fear. He remembered his father. His father told him stories. Stories of a hero, a sun god, Nika, the warrior of liberation. He would bring laughter. He would free the people. Kuma clung to these stories, a tiny spark of hope, in a vast ocean of darkness. But hope was a dangerous thing, especially in a place like God Valley. His father was killed for daring to speak of Nika, killed for having hope. Kuma saw it, another scar on his young heart. Enslavement was a crushing weight. It pressed down on his small shoulders. Every day was the same. Pain, hunger, exhaustion. He saw others, so many others. People from all walks of life, kings, queens, ordinary folk, all reduced to property, all trapped in this living hell. Their spirits were breaking, one by one. He felt their despair. It was a cold blanket, threatening to smother him too. But Kuma was different. Something inside him refused to break. He was quiet, observant. He watched the celestial dragons. He watched their guards. He learned. He endured. The mark of the hoof of the soaring dragon burned into his back, a symbol of ownership, a symbol of shame. But Kuma would not let it define him. Deep inside, a fire started to smolder. A fire of defiance, a fire born from suffering. He was a buccaneer. He was strong, and he would survive. He had to. The celestial dragons. They called themselves gods. They walked among humans. But they were not human. They were something else, something twisted, something empty. They lived in luxury, up on their holy land, Marioa. But even paradise bored them. So they came down to places like God Valley, to play their games, their cruel, sadistic games. The native hunting competition was their favorite, a festival of suffering. They arrived with fanfare, with arrogance, dressed in their strange bubble-like helmets, to avoid breathing the same air as commoners. They saw others as less than dirt, as toys, to be used, to be broken, and then discarded. Their faces held no compassion, only disdain, only a chilling amusement. As they watched people run, as they watched people die, their laughter echoed, a soundtrack to the massacre. It was sickening. Their power was absolute, or so it seemed. They had the Marines, the world government, armies at their command. Who could stand against them? To them, life was cheap, especially the lives of slaves, or natives. They killed for sport. They tortured for pleasure. They made rules. But the rules only protected them. They were above all laws, above all morality. They were the ultimate evil, draped in white. Pure, terrible evil. Kuma witnessed their depravity firsthand. He saw them point. He saw them shoot for no reason, just because they could. He saw families torn apart, children crying over fallen parents, the strong preying on the weak. But the celestial dragons were the strongest predators of all. They delighted in the chaos. They reveled in the fear they caused. This was their entertainment. This was their nature. Pure, unadulterated cruelty. This was the face of the world's rulers. Even in that hell, even surrounded by such darkness, Kuma's heart remained gentle. It was a strange thing, a miracle perhaps. He saw so much pain. He experienced so much pain. Yet he did not become like them. He did not become cruel. He did not lose his empathy. Instead, his suffering fueled a deep desire, a desire to help others, a desire to protect the weak. He was just a child, but his spirit was strong. He shared his meager food, when he had any. He tried to comfort those who cried, with a touch, with a look, small acts of kindness, in a world devoid of it. These acts were dangerous. They could bring punishment, severe punishment, but Kuma did them anyway. He could not stand by. He could not watch others suffer, not if he could do something, anything. This was his nature, the true nature of a buccaneer, strong and kind. He saw other slaves. Some were broken, some were angry, some had given up. But Kuma tried to inspire them. He remembered his father's words about Nika, the warrior of liberation. He whispered the stories. He shared the hope, a tiny flame. But even a tiny flame could light the way. He wanted to save them, all of them. It was an impossible dream for a slave boy, but he held on to it, tightly. His selflessness was a rebellion, a quiet rebellion, against the cruelty, against the despair. The celestial dragons wanted to crush spirits. They wanted to create monsters, or broken dolls. But Kuma resisted. He held on to his humanity. He chose kindness. He chose compassion. This made him strong. Stronger than any chains, stronger than any whip. His gentle heart was his greatest weapon, and his greatest burden, because he felt everything so deeply. Section 5. A Daring Gamble. Ivankov and the Escape. Then a new face appeared, Emporio Ivankov, a revolutionary, a person with power, and a wild spirit. Ivankov was also a slave, captured, brought to God Valley. But Ivankov was not one to give up. Ivankov saw the horror, the injustice, and Ivankov decided to act, to fight back, to escape this island of death. This was a spark, a real spark of rebellion, not just quiet kindness, but loud, defiant action. Ivankov saw Kuma, saw his strength, saw his spirit, saw the buccaneer blood. Ivankov recognized a kindred soul, someone who would not bow, someone who would fight for freedom. Ivankov approached Kuma, and a plan began to form, a dangerous plan, an almost impossible plan, to escape God Valley, to escape the celestial dragons, to escape the Marines guarding them. It was a gamble, a desperate gamble, with their lives as the stakes. The plan was bold. It involved chaos. It involved risk. They needed to find a ship. They needed to break their chains. They needed to fight their way out. Many would die. They knew this. But to stay was also death. A slow, agonizing death. Or a quick, meaningless death. In the game, escape offered a chance. A slim chance. But a chance for freedom. A chance to live. A chance to fight another day. For a better world. Kuma agreed. He would join Ivankov. He would help. He wanted to save others too, not just himself. He thought of Ginny, a fellow slave girl, young, brave. He wanted to save her. He wanted to save everyone he could. This was his chance, to turn his pain into action, to use his strength for others. The escape attempt was terrifying. Guards everywhere, celestial dragons watching. But the desire for freedom, it was a powerful force, more powerful than fear. Section 6. Shadows in the Chaos. A glimpse of a swordsman. The escape attempt began. Chaos erupted. Slaves rose up, fighting with whatever they could find. Rocks, sticks, their bare hands. Against trained soldiers. Against powerful devil fruit users. It was a desperate struggle. Explosions rocked the island. Shouts and screams filled the air. Fire spread, illuminating faces. Faces of fear, faces of anger, faces of hope. The night was alive with rebellion. Amidst the turmoil, amidst the running figures, a shadow moved. Swiftly, precisely. Not a slave, not a celestial dragon, someone else. A figure with a sword. His movements were sharp, clean, deadly. He cut down those who stood in his way. But who was he? A marine? A protector of the nobles? Or someone else entirely? His face was unclear, hidden by the smoke, by the darkness, by the speed of his actions. This swordsman, he seemed different. Not like the other marines, who fought with a brutal, straightforward power. This one was more refined, more skilled. He moved with a purpose, a silent purpose. Was he an enemy? An ally? It was impossible to tell. In the madness of the escape, Kuma might have seen him. A fleeting glimpse, a passing shadow. Unforgettable, yet hard to place. A detail lost in the larger picture of survival. This was Bogard. Perhaps. Garp's right-hand man. Always there. Always loyal. Always in the background, protecting his commander, or carrying out his orders. If Garp was here and he here, then Bogard would be too. A subtle presence. A master of the sword. Doing his duty. Unseen by most. But his blade was part of the storm. Part of the legend that would be born from the ashes of God Valley. He was a piece of the puzzle, a silent, deadly piece. Section 7, Giants and Ants. The overwhelming power gap. The power imbalance was staggering. It was like watching giants fight ants. On one side, the celestial dragons with their immense wealth, their political power, and the full might of the world government. The marines, admirals, vice-admirals, powerful devil fruit users. Weapons that could destroy mountains. They were the giants, untouchable, unbeatable, or so it seemed. Their arrogance stemmed from this power. On the other side, the slaves, the natives. They had nothing. No weapons, no training, only their courage, their desperation, their will to live. Kuma, despite his buccaneer strength, was still just a child. Ivankov, despite their powers, was still outnumbered. They were the ants, scrambling for survival against colossal feet, threatening to crush them at any moment. The fight was unfair, hopelessly unfair. The cinematography of this nightmare, if it were a film, it would use stark contrasts. Wide shots showing the sheer scale of the island, the vast numbers of marines, the tiny, fleeing figures of slaves. Close-ups on the terrified faces of children, on the cruel smiles of the celestial dragons. Slow motion for moments of impact, a whip cracking, a body falling. To emphasize the brutality, the suffering, the sounds too, the booming cannons, the sharp crack of rifles, the arrogant laughter of the nobles, juxtaposed with the whimpers of the injured, the desperate cries for help, the silence of death. It was a symphony of terror designed to show the helplessness, the hopelessness of those caught in the gears of this cruel machine. The world was not fair. God Valley was the ultimate proof. Power ruled, and the weak suffered. Section 8, A Will Unbroken. Kuma's enduring spirit. Kuma ran. He fought. He protected. During the escape, his small body pushed to its limits. He saw death. So much death. Friends falling beside him. Hope flickering like a candle in a hurricane. It would have been easy to give up, to surrender to the despair, to let the darkness consume him. Many did. It was understandable. The pressure was immense, the horror unbearable. But Kuma did not break. His will, it was like steel, forged in the fires of his suffering, tempered by his love for others. He remembered his father. He remembered the stories of Nika. He remembered Ginny. He had to keep going. He had to survive. Not just for himself, but for them. For the hope of a future where no one would have to suffer like this. This ideal, it burned brightly within him. His internal struggle was immense. Fear battled courage. Despair battled hope. The desire to run and hide battled the need to stand and fight. He was just a boy, carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. He saw the worst of humanity. The cruelty, the selfishness, the greed. But he also saw the best, the kindness, the sacrifice, the love. He chose to believe in the good, even when it was hard to find. His resilience was extraordinary. It was the heart of who he was, the tyrant, Bartholomew Kuma, the man he would become. That man was born here, in the crucible of God Valley. His pain was immense, but his spirit was stronger. He would carry these scars forever, both visible and invisible. But they would not define him. They would shape him into a man who would bear the pain of others. Literally, his journey was just beginning, a long, painful journey. Section 9. Echoes of Titans. The looming legend of God Valley. God Valley was not just a hunting ground. It was a stage for a legendary confrontation, a clash of titans. The world would tremble. Even as Kuma and the slaves fought for their lives, something bigger was happening, something that would change the course of history. The air crackled with immense power, far beyond what the slaves could comprehend or fight against directly. The Rock's pirates, led by the fearsome Rock's Dizebek, a man who aimed for the throne of the world. His crew was a collection of monsters, future emperors, Whitebeard, Kaido, Big Mom. They were here at God Valley. Their ambition clashed with the world order, a direct challenge to the celestial dragons. Their arrival was an earthquake, shaking the foundations of this holy island. And who stood against them? The Marines, led by Monkey D. Garp, the hero. A man of incredible strength and a fierce sense of justice. But he was not alone. He fought alongside an unlikely ally, Goldie Roger, the future Pirate King, and his crew. Pirates fighting Marines against other pirates? It was an unbelievable scenario, a battle of legends, shrouded in mystery, for decades to come. Kuma was in the middle of this maelstrom, a small boat in a raging tempest. He likely saw glimpses of the earth-shattering power of the legendary figures. Their battle was the backdrop to his escape. It created chaos, opportunity, but also immense danger. The full story of God Valley, what truly happened there, who fought whom, who truly won, much of it remains hidden, wiped from history. But the echoes of that titanic struggle, they still resonate. And Kuma carried those echoes with him, out of the inferno, towards a future unknown.